The Schlieffen Plan. Way back in 1905, the head of the German army, Alfred von Schlieffen, decided that if a war was going to happen, France had to be defeated quickly. He thought 6 weeks. He also believed that the French would be expecting Germany to attack through Alsace-Lorraine in the south, which was the area of land that was disputed between the two countries. Schlieffen realised that if they're expecting one there, it would make more sense to come in from the north through neutral Belgium and possibly Holland. You'd take them by surprise, you'd have the advantage, and the 6 weeks was possible. He believed that the 6 weeks was important because Russia, their other enemy on their eastern border, would take a long time to mobilise. So if you could beat France quickly, you would get to Russia before they had chance to mobilise. So the plan was supposed to be using this outside line. That was the one they were going to follow round Paris, and then they would disappear this way over towards Russia. Unfortunately, as you can see from the other lines, they actually didn't. They ended up stopping here, and they didn't go as way round Paris as they wanted. In fact, they were short of Paris, so it didn't have the initiative that they wanted. But in a way, Germany shoots itself in the foot. By going into Belgium, it awakens Britain. Now, although Britain was in an agreement with both Russia and France, there was absolutely no guarantee, even if Germany attacks through Lorraine down the bottom here, that Britain would help them. But as soon as Germany decides it's going north through Belgium, who were neutral and also who had a treaty, an old treaty admittedly, but a treaty with Britain, it meant they were much more likely to get involved. And this 1839 treaty, Germany called the scrap of paper. You can see there, they called it the scrap of paper because they thought it was, 70, 80 years old. Britain aren't going to take any notice of it. So they took a gamble that their attack was going to be better coming through the north, that yes, they were going through neutral Belgium, that Britain had an element of an alliance with, but it was so old that the scrap of paper would not be used by Britain, and Britain would stay out of the war. However, the Kaiser was disappointed. When German troops entered Belgium as part of the Schlieffen Plan on the 3rd of August, Britain declared war. Britain claimed we were going to war to protect the sanctity of the treaties. In other words, this was important because although it was old, it was still live. The Kaiser was very surprised that Britain would fight over this scrap of paper, but we did. The interesting thing as well is their plan was actually flawed because Russia did not take the 6 weeks they thought it would take them to mobilise. They mobilised in 10 days. So even if they'd have gone round this route they wanted to, Russia would still have been ready, and there would still have been a war on two fronts.